This is the FM Gold channel of All India Radio. In the program Spotlight now, we bring you a discussion on Defence Expo 2020. The participants are Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, Defence Analyst, and Ajay Banerjee, Journalist.
Defence Expo is on in Lucknow. It is a 5-day event. The first 3 days, which are called the business days, are over. There have been very important MOUs signed with the Russians for supply of spare parts. There has been the induction of the Sharang gun. The Sharang is an upgrade gun made by the Ordnance Factory Board. The light utility helicopter made by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited has been given the initial operation clearance, which means it can now be produced or manufactured. Several private companies of India have tied up with foreign companies for making arms and equipment here. Importantly, India also conducted the India-Africa Conclave of Defence Ministers. General Sanjay Kulkarni, you have just come back from the Defence Expo. What does the Defence Expo mean, firstly, for us internationally and for the Indian industry?
After a long time, I saw something very proactive. Found a lot more effort being put in this time in the Def Expo, and probably could well be termed as one of the biggest Def Expo that India has been able to organize. Over 1,000 odd participants, over 170, 80 countries participating in it. Whole lot of these PSUs and whole lot of this other, you could say, civilian industries which were very keen, which the Prime Minister's vision of Make in India, it seemed visible. It was very well organized, very well conducted, and at the right place, not very far from Delhi. Something one could go well in the morning and come back by evening, because accommodation was indeed a problem, because obviously I can understand Lucknow as a city cannot take so many people, lakhs of people who landed up over there. But notwithstanding that, I think the technology exposure that we Indians get by seeing some of these firms is unique. We can actually be learning from them. You really get to see if we have got to modernize, we must be able to expose ourselves to the technologies abroad, what is visible. And of course, we are a $10 billion business market that everybody is trying to grab at. The Prime Minister said that we have 17,000 crores of export that we've had now, intending to go to 35,000 crore by 2024-25. That itself is a big step. All our PSUs should also be able to shake up all our ordnance factories, because they now realize that there's a lot to learn and there's a lot that we can contribute, because we really have an excellent industrial base in India, and that industrial base must be exploited, and we must be able to learn from this expo which has been organized in Lucknow.
Kulkarni sir, in one of the seminars conducted by the US-India Business Council, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh termed the words, I quote him, that India-US collaboration could be the collaboration of the century. These are very important words, because we are now also having a lot of American equipment, American companies, especially I'll name 2-3 of those, the Boeing or the Lockheed, the biggest manufacturers are here in India. How do you see that?
See, there's a lot to learn from US. There's a lot that they can contribute to us. There's lots that they can learn from us, because we have an excellent skill. There's no dearth of skill in India. There's no dearth of capital in India. There's no dearth of consumers in India. And therefore, I think what the US has said, and what the US ambassador also quoted to say, that, well, we will look for turnaround of the economy. Should all economies be doing well, there's nothing better than the American and the Indians getting together to be able to contribute to this arms industry. It will be a win-win situation. Though a lot has been done even with the Russians. We cannot at all ignore. I saw the South Koreans in a very big way over there. And we have the entire artillery system coming from them to us. I look at it as a win-win situation, and with the US we would be able to get a high-end technology which in itself would lead us to modernization at a rapid speed. As what the Prime Minister said, it is not for warfare. It adds on to a lot of employment opportunities. It acts as a deterrent. People look at us as something that we are world power. We are looking at getting into there. If we are the 5th largest economy in the world, with military power and economic power, we would actually mean to be there and be able to go along with it.
So very briefly, we always did those stalls at the DRDO, matter of pride. The Akash made here was there. The ASAT, the Mission Shakti missile was there. The BrahMos was there. The Sharang gun, the ATACMS gun, the Dhanush gun. All made in India by Indian companies. How well do you feel that is?
It is indeed, we can be proud of the fact that so much of it has been done. Imagine Sharang that you're talking about. On a 130 mm platform, a gun which is 60 years old, you have a 150 mm gun being made with the ranges beyond 27 kilometers. is superb. Imagine the entire inventory. We are not even spending a crore on updating a gun. Upgrading a gun from 130 to 150, less than a crore. Then the guns itself would be costing 18 crores if you go in for any of these Dhanush or any own Indian gun. And to be able to upgrade a 130 to 150, I think is super. There's no denying the fact. And I think these DEF Expos do tell us that yes, there's a lot that we need to do, but there's a lot with us that we can also do. And this in itself, I think, should give a lot of fillip to Indian industries. We saw all of these. I saw Kalyani is putting up over there, Bharat Forge over there, the Tatas were there in a big way, the Mahindras were there in a very big way, the Zen Technologies were there in a big way. So a lot of people are there, and that shows that a Make in India has a success story. A Make in India can become a real success story, and we can become good exporters in the near future.
Kulkarni sir, a basic question. I was doing a number counting of the artillery guns. If the Dhanush 144 numbers, ATAGS 150, the Sharang we are upgrading 300. We already have around 350 of the Boffers. Do you think we have seen the last of the artillery imports?
Well, I would say last of the artillery import. Yes, the word you use is last of the artillery import. Definitely. But a lot that we can manufacture in India, a lot that we will be upgrading in India, a lot that we would be seeing, a lot of Make in India coming up. But yes, the last of the artillery import.
Do you see us becoming an artillery manufacturing superpower in 10 years?
Well, I would hope to, because the way Sharang has come up, it has a lot of export potential.
Or even Dhanush or ATAGS?
Yes, Dhanush also. Tremendous potential. Why I spoke of Sharang primarily is this 130 guns are there the world over. And if we can upgrade it at such a minimal cost, who wouldn't want it?
Yes,
and giving it a further life of another 20-25 years.
It's business for us.
Absolutely.
General Kulkarni, there were very important 14 MOUs signed with Russians. Very important because we use a lot of Russian equipment. These MOUs relate to making of Russian spare parts in India by Indian companies under JVs or joint ventures with Russian companies. Very important 14 MOUs. How do you see that?
I look at it because the start was made with AK-203. That was one weapon that we were looking at. We saw the G2G contract and firms being made in India. And all these things because sizable amount of Russian equipment is there. And we see a Russian equipment with a lot of pride because it's supposedly sturdy, something that the Indian troops adapt very fast. And therefore, there's something good. We have a lot of American equipment also. We'll have a lot of Russian equipment also. We have a lot of MOUs with the French also, with the South Koreans also. I think this multifarious leading to modernization and just what we want, leading to export, I think that's what the DEF Expo is all about.
Sir, I was just doing a number count sitting in Lucknow about 5 or 6 companies. Boeing, Lockheed from US, Airbus from Europe, MBDA from Europe, Thales from Europe, and Naval Group from Europe. They are getting crores worth of equipment made in India for their global suppliers. Just these 5 firms are getting work done of more than 50,000 crores per annum, more than $6 to $7 billion collectively. Boeing alone is around 1 billion, Lockheed is around 1 billion. Airbus is getting a lot of commercial aircrafting, aviation also done. How do you see this? Very few people have done this bean counting of the numbers. So the numbers we see today, we are touching almost 50,000 crore in exports from India.
Exactly is what the world market looks at. The labor being cheap, the availability is there, the skill over there. What I was given to understand, almost $1 billion is the Tatas alone with the Boeing. The kind of small things that they're able to make, whether it's a wing tail or whether it's a small fuselage here or there is scope. And this is also very important. That means we now become offset partners to many international manufacturers of arms and aircraft and submarines and missiles. What more do we need? I think we are into it now.
So Prime Minister Modi has said we could be the defense manufacturing hub of the world. He said that at the DEF Expo. Give me 3 or 4 steps which the industry needs to take to become a global defense manufacturer.
First and foremost is that we must be able to absorb technology. Make in India, it's very important for us to learn from others also. And then we must learn to cut costs. We cannot afford to be complacent. We cannot have costs which are very, very restricted. And the other thing is we must stick to the ergonomics part of the weaponry is very important. We must not be seen as something which is, middle of a century behind in terms of manufacturing. We have the ability, we have land, we have capital, we have machinery, we have skilled manpower. All that is required determination. And now that it is flowing from the top, the Prime Minister himself saying that we want to become, I think we must all be able to say, yes, we can become, and yes, we should do it. There could be nothing better. Make in India, made in India, for the Indian armed forces. I think this security would be strengthened to a large extent.
Please give our listeners a lowdown on what kind of steps you need or suggest, since you are a senior person still suggesting to the government, you suggest for PSUs to modernize, for them to change, become modern manufacturing factories, no more the 1960s mindset. What is the suggestion you have?
you use the very right word, the mindset. We actually need to change the mindset. Whether it is with the ordnance factories, whether it is with the PSUs, just the mindset. Nothing that anybody would be wanting to say that we don't have. We have everything with us. Just the attitude that we must be able to develop, we must have confidence in us, and we should be able to deliver. The user satisfaction is the most important thing, and that user satisfaction will only come the user himself realizes that these are strategic assets that we have in India, and the strategic assets of India must realize that yes, we have to deliver, which is absolutely modern and state-of-the-art.
So there was a very important event in Lucknow, the African Defense Ministers Conclave. More than 38 countries, representative of 38 countries of Africa attended that conclave, including more than a dozen odd ministers also, defense ministers from African countries. India has a long history of providing equipment and other aspects to Africa. This is the first time we are talking about giving them military equipment. Do you think we can sell military equipment to these countries? Probably smaller guns, artillery guns, tanks, whatever.
Definitely. See, Africa and India have been having old relations, which are very good relations. Supposedly, I just saw some of the Nigerian army officers over there. You could hardly distinguish between the way they were talking and the way they were using the words and the way they were dressed up. Almost a replicate of the Indian army. And that's because we had national defense academies there. We have trained these people over there. We had excellent relations with Africa.
You mean to say the European or American equipment may not be within the reach of the pockets, but the Indian equipment may be?
Indian equipment will be within the reach of the pockets. Indian equipment will be easier to maintain, easier to understand, and easier to operate. Vis-a-vis a more high-ended equipment which may be more difficult to maintain, very difficult to acquire, and then subsequently to sustain it. And therefore, I think this is one market which we should be able to explore it, whether it is in terms of aircrafts, whether it is in terms of frigates, or whether it is in terms of small arms or in terms of ammunition.
You said there was a very important discussion out there. India-UK talk. The defense minister had a talk out there on the sidelines of the DEF Expo. Now what we get to hear is that the two countries are again in talks of making an engine for a fighter jet, a gas turbine, Rolls-Royce, British company, with probably an Indian company. They earlier had some kind of working arrangement with the GTRE, the Gas Turbine Research Establishment under the Ministry of Defense.
Rolls-Royce a good reputation in India, in the world over. And why not? If they can supply an engine that we are looking at it, what more do we need? What more does the HAL would need? Anything that would help to build our own aircraft, and Rolls-Royce can contribute towards making that engine that we're looking at, I think they're in it. And such old relations between India and the United Kingdom would be beneficial win-win factor for both the countries.
Sir, I'll take you on to the UP Defence Corridor. UP is right next to Delhi. Noida in UP and Gurgaon in Haryana have literally grown their economies on the basis of the national capitals, available human resource or available infrastructure. UP Defence Corridor has 6 nodes: Kanpur, Lucknow, Agra, Chitrakoot, Jhansi, and I think Aligarh one more. Do you think UP can take the advantage of this? These places are very reachable from Delhi for youngsters to go and work there.
UP has tremendous potential, and I think with the present government there, if they can actually garner this kind of a potential, because UP was the hub. Academically also, UP was a very, very sound place where a lot of people did a good amount of learning, and UP was always at it. Its connectivity with the power center is concerned, with the kind of stability is concerned. I think UP has potential. UP must exploit that potential, and there could be nothing better, because anybody who wants to see can actually go in the morning, see what is going on there and come up. And that is why I think even AK-203 is coming in Amethi. If you look at it from that point of view, it is coming up over there. Kanpur was an old industrial base, and Kanpur can be actually exploited to a large extent. Agra is one which can be used. So there is tremendous scope. All that we need to is put our heads, have a small little, I would say, a team which is totally dedicated to making this as a defense corridor, and just go ahead. When they're talking about 50,000 crores, they must not just talk about it, they must just do it.
There were around 23 MOUs signed between UP government and other people out there.
Worth 50,000 crores.
50,000 crores, and the Chief Minister...
all of them must just fructify.
Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath ji said that around 3.5 lakh jobs will be created. Kulkarni sir, what I mean to bring in is, not trying to market Noida, but Noida is the closest to Delhi. Do you think UP should include Noida in the defense corridor?
Yes, they must. I think it will already be, because Noida had a sizable representation even in the exhibition.
Okay. In case of the displays, which we have seen, very important, the Sharang gun has been inducted out there. The light utility helicopter has been given production licensing, and several smaller companies have tied up. Especially, I'll name a few of those with regards to making of UAVs, with regards to Hindustan Aeronautics Limited and also Adani tying up for UAV. General Kulkarni, thanks for speaking to us.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on Defense Expo 2020. The participants were Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, Defence Analyst, and Ajay Banerjee, Journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. This program is also available on our website newsonair.com. You can also follow us on the News on AIR app for updates. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.